It just like brute forces. Like, I told you guys, what did I say? I said if enough people support ideas, whether they're smart or stupid, they will balance off of them. Even if they're from a place of retardation. I told you. Let's look at the patch together. Alright, this is a big patch, alright? This is you ever have, you know, you ever have the big pack, like when you get a big package in your mail, you're like, I've been looking for this big package, just a big patch. Alright, so this is a big patch. There's some guys in here talking, they're saying, hey, we're gonna do a lot of shit, and let's go through this. Let's start with the patch highlights, I guess. We'll look at that. Jailbait. Lots of nerfs, Volibear buffs. What else? Fiddle buff. I'm skipping this because I don't want to watch this shit. And Swain, okay, cool. Nice. Alright, let's talk about ability power. Yeah, these highlights blue. Like that, normally they're supposed to like summarize things. They were literally like, here's, you know, here's a skin and then a couple things, and then they didn't even mention the other shit. Alright, so Mage itemization follows a pretty simple decision tree. If you need mana, get the mana CDR item. After that, buy the best general damage items. We want to give mages more options for creating new items, and reshaping old ones provide more unique and focused outputs and let mages adapt their itemization to game stats, matchups, personal style. I agree with that. Generally, it was lost chapter into spell pen a lot. I spoke with a lot of high, low, mid lanes, and that's pretty much what you do. You know, there's a couple outliers, obviously, but for the most part, every mage champion pretty much builds the same. So, lost chapter with its mana restore is a nice item for mages who want to sustain in lane, which makes it a good starting point for most mid laners. As such, one of the first choices we want mages to make is what item to build lost chapter, or to build out of lost chapter. Lost chapter builds into 3 items now: Luden's Echo, Hextech, Archangels. More on those. Gold cost is up. The haste is 10% CDR. More cooldown reduction. An Oprah of cooldown reduction. Luden's Echo for poking. It says build path, lost chapter, amp tone, blasting 1, 915 gold. I wish that, you know, one thing that they should do with these patch notes is they should show the item, like how you build, like with the items, the portraits. Anyways, Neace feedback, not necessary. Total cost is up by 100 to match. I don't even know what it. Hold on. Lost chapter, amp tone, blasting 1. They just combine cost up. Ability power's down. Movement speed. The movement speed increases down. Mana is 500. Cooldown reduction, new cooldown reduction. And then the passive. So that, if I'm reading this correctly, someone in Twitch chat, correct me if I'm wrong, that's 20% CDR then? Total? Right? Anyways, we'll move on. This one's for catching, for picking people. The Hextech GLP 800. Build path, lost chapter, Hextech revolver, 850 gold. Mana is 500. Cooldown reduction 10. And it gains an additional 10% CDR, so you're getting 20% right off the bat. Frostbolt now only damages and slows first unit hit per missile. The decay is over 1 second, not 0.5. Straight and narrow Frostbolt cone narrowed by 10 degrees. Frostbolt cone range increased by 200. So this is a significant, I think a significant change on Hextech. Siret Games, thank you so much for the 7 months in a row. Appreciate it. I don't know how useful or good or bad this is going to be, but the range increase by 200 is pretty significant in terms of picking people off. So I don't know who exactly is going to synergize best with this. In my mind, there's a lot of champions like Aurelion Soul who are going to like this. Territorial Grief, thanks for the Twitch Prime sub. Any champion that relies on picking people off. I remember Cassidy used to use this occasionally. But I mean, not so much lately. I'm trying to think of who else. Anivia sometimes shows up with it. It's going to be weird, but there's going to be some interesting uses, I'm sure. Archangel Staff. Mo mana, mo spellcast. The gold is up. It's now Tear the Goddess, Amp Tome, Lost Chapter, plus 915. Ability power is down, mana is up. Lots of mana, lots of CDR on every item. Seraph's Embrace. Nothing really changes. Change the Archangel Staff, carry over to Seraph's Embrace as well, but it's still the same item after that, after it upgrades. Liandry's Torment was a bit of a contradiction. The percent health damage made it decent against tanks, while the flat magic penetration made it decent against squishy targets. As a result, it either didn't do the job exceptionally or ended up being overtuned and doing both jobs well. We're shifting Liandry's Torment into being the tank bleeding item and rewarding champions who want to stay in combat for a while, casting spell after spell on the beefy boys. Madness. Damaging champions increases the damage you deal by 2% per second until exiting combat up to 10%. In unique passive, Torment is now down to 1% of the target's maximum health per second. Max health. Not current health, max health. And that's down to 1%. So a significantly different item. And obviously staying true to the idea that they want you to target fucking tanks. With Liandry's Torment. Makes sense to me. I agree, tanks are dumb, and anything to make them less dumb is welcome. So, Haunted Guise, ability power is up. The Madness comes through. This is interesting that the Madness passive comes through on Haunted Guise outright. No flat magic pen at all. Be interesting how this item goes as like a first buy. I could really see Rumble liking this item a lot, and I would really like to play him more into tanks to kind of test this out. I think this could be really fucking good. Like, really good answer to tank matchups. Like, this could be ridiculous. Morello Nomicon. Mana refund, passive remove, flat magic penetration, grievous wounds now applies targets at all health. Morello Nomicon was supposed to be the anti-hilly item, but when it was also the best mana and AP item, forced us to make the item more about stats and less about unique output it provide. Okay, so now you get Touch of Death, 15 flat magic pen, magic damage dealt to champions inflicts them with grievous wounds for 3 seconds, and all this other shit is gone. The ability power is down, it's lower, the total cost is a little higher, and that's pretty much it for the big three here. Now what about the other items? Oblivion Orb. Flat magic penetration is cool, just not for the Liandry's Torment line. Ruby Crystal, Amp Tome, you get flat magic penetration. Very interesting. Spellbinder, the more fighting the better. Aether Wisp, needlessly large rod, 700 gold, total cost 2800, ability power 100, movement speed up 10. Nearby allied and enemy spellcast charge Spellbinder to a cap. Nearby allied and enemy spellcast charge Spellbinder up to a cap. Gain a maximum of 30% decaying movement speed and 100 ability power for 4 seconds based on charges spent. This is like one of those things where I can theory craft how this is going to play, but I need to see it in action before I really understand it. Up to a cap. 100 maximum. Gain 30% decaying movement speed and 100 ability power for 4 seconds based on the charges spent. Very unique item. Yeah, it's a Dota-esque type of wand, isn't it? Very interesting. Twin Shadows is back. Spooky Ghosts, hunt nearby champions, revealing them and haunting them on contact. Haunted enemies are slowed 40%, up to 5 seconds based on distance ghost travel. Spooky Ghosts. Ooh boy, I can see this being used on Twisted Fate sometimes again. Very interesting to see how it shows up. Spellbinder charge is pretty slow, but it gives you quite a bit of damage. So I don't know when I would want it word. These few changes are efficiency adjustments. Ability power on Void is lower. Death cap is a little bit lower. Needlessly large rod plus 1100. A smoother build into death cap. That kind of slips through the cracks in terms of their patch notes or whatever. But this is significant. Oh, no, it's the same thing. Wait, no, I'm retarded. Yeah, needlessly large, and then 1100 gold. This is cool. I like this change a lot for Rabadons. Rabadons doesn't feel good to buy at all, like ever. And that's kind of lame. Rylai's Crystal Scepter is up to 85 ability power. And that's about it. Top lane. Okay, at the moment, too many champions are coasting their way through laning phase without needing to interact. We're toning down the health and mana sustain of some of those picks, as well as weakening their ability to live in the top lane from a safe range. We're also giving some love to champions who tend to beat them, so there'll be less safe picks overall. There are also changes to press the attack. Be sure to check out the jungle section for change to blast cones, which will impact top lane. Cool. And this is, again, what I talked about yesterday on stream, where I said, you know, whether or not Hashinshin is wrong, the community is rallying behind the ideas that the dude has. So regardless if they're right or wrong, the changes will happen. And this is why I don't really flame Riot too much, because as much as people like to bitch, they generally will change things based on perception, as they always have historically. So Darius buffs, cooldown is lower. The ratio of crippling strike, total attack damage is up, and E has more armor penetration. Not a fan of this. Darius is going to be a very, very strong fucking champion now. I might even have to pick him up because I am not a fan. He's already pretty fucking beast if played correctly, so fuck that. I don't like that. This is huge. I've already read through the Gangplank changes because I always kind of monitor Gangplank as it being one of my staple champs. I haven't played him a lot recently because I didn't like him. I didn't like playing top. I didn't like playing Gangplank. I just haven't liked playing him. These nerfs are huge. These are huge nerfs. So basically, let me explain these to you as somebody who's played a lot of Gangplank. Basically, what this is going to do is this is going to make GP's lane phase very shitty. Shittier than usual. You understand? Not only is Gangplank going to have to spend a lot of mana to poke somebody down and do something aggro, all these other champions are getting buffs, and his barrels, the powder kegs, only last 25 seconds. And there's no compensation on like, oh, you get barrels back faster, you have to use them more. You fucked. The only way that I see GP working is if, I mean, you're gonna have to go for some like mana sustain. You're gonna have to go for mana flow band. You're gonna have to turtle. You're not gonna be able to bully as often and get people low enough to all in them ever. It's not gonna feel very good. And honestly, if I may finalize my rant with GP, he wasn't that good. He wasn't that good. He was just good in a meta where it made sense to play him. He was always good against tanks. As long as I could remember, he was always a pick into tanks. And he was doing better than he normally was into bruisers because the bruisers were weaker. You understand? He wasn't that good. And good bruisers would still take a dump on you. Try playing GP into a good Camille. Try playing GP into a good Riven. Try playing GP into like a Jax that farms up and plays patiently. I'm just saying. He wasn't that good. Now he's gonna be fucking dog shit. Like dog shit. I would not play this champion. You understand? I wasn't already playing him because I didn't like how he played in solo queue. If you don't agree with me, you can look at what Dopa said about this champion. He hated seeing it in solo queue. It was purely for LCS play mostly, and to counter tanks, which the meta favored. Useless champ now, especially with the bruisers getting more love because the Shinshin bitched enough to where people rallied behind it. But that's just my opinion. Anyways, moving on. Okay, wait. Q cooldown refund decreased. E base damage increased. Nars who stay back and play safe should be less impactful, while those who get up and close to the enemy should have more power, especially early on. Okay. I believe we're going to see I think we're also seeing a Frozen Mallet nerf too, if we haven't seen it already. So that's why this is coming through. It's overall, it's a net nerf for Gnar. Is it a big one? Not really. But it is a nerf nonetheless. And Gnar is still fucking annoying. Ornn nerfs. Cooldown on W is a lot higher. The damage for target's maximum health got a compensation buff early level. So when he does hit his W, he's gonna do a lot of damage. The shield duration is up. The brittle duration is down. So you're gonna have to manage. You get more time to play with the brittle. E searing charge base damage is up. Damage ratio 30%. Bonus armor, magic resist is up. Shockwave damage no longer deals additional damage. Overall damage is lower. Overall damage ratio is lower based on the bonus armor bonus. So this again is another nerf. Riot did give Ornn some things, but they took, again, it's a net nerf overall. They said it. I mean, they said they don't like seeing Ornn be played a lot. Lane interaction is pretty lame versus that, so I totally get it. Yeah, it's a pretty big nerf, to be fair. He was already not performing as great as people like to pretend that he was performing, especially after the original nerfs before. So I mean, I don't like him being viable, and I'm biased, but yeah, I don't know if it needed to go this far, because I don't think he was that bad. Poppy. Damage is up on the passive. Heroic Charge is a buff as well. This just makes sense. Poppy's win rate's low. Riot wants to tweak the numbers a little bit, get her a better win rate, especially in the top lane. Renekton gets a nice little buff to damage and his empowered damage. Nothing crazy, but a buff nonetheless. Counter-Strike no longer. Sometimes delays briefly before blocking attacks. Right through the Counter-Strike. Fixed a bug where Counter-Strike's buff could take up to 0.25 seconds to take effect. Oh, there you go. There you go. You win. Bitch enough, and they will do things. I'm telling you. If enough people agree with what you're bitching about, they'll change it. I don't want to hear shit about how Riot doesn't listen. Because even if I don't agree with some of the stuff the dude was saying, enough people bitched, man, and they started changing stuff. Yeah, he literally told them to kill themselves and got a change. Yes, I know. I know. Only a few ranged champions can afford to sacrifice damage to pick up Frozen Mallet, but those champions who can end up being both hard to reach and hard to kill. To make this less of a can't catch 22, reducing the range slow. Makes sense. Teemo and Nara aids when they get that item, so I like this change a lot. It's a significant slow nerf too. Evelyn. Evelyn. E damage increased. Hate Evelyn. Hate invisible champions. Wish they would have nerfed her again. But there you go. It's a buff to Evelyn. Make her win rate a little bit higher. Fiddlesticks. Fiddlesticks mains can rejoice. Fiddlesticks R cooldown is a little bit lower. Damage to monsters is up. That's significant. Fucking E change. Oh, Darkwind no longer deals bonus damage to... Oh, to minions. Got it. So Lane Fiddle actually takes a pretty big hit, but Jungle Fiddle... why did they do... Do they figure... I don't know how this plays. Maybe Lane Fiddle's fine with the... No, it's not. That's... Yeah, that ruins Lane Fiddle, I think. And then, obviously, Jungle Fiddle gets a nice buff here. That's a big buff to Jungle Fiddle. Rip Lane Fiddle, though. Okay, Kallista's base attack damage and range increase. Base attack speed for a level increase. W now grants attack damage instead of attack speed. Kallista's near Oathsworn. Kallista's been bullying other marksmen too hard. Yada yada. Her power will still get a boost when her Oathsworn is ready, but the feel of her basic attacks will feel more consistent throughout the course of the game. Attack range is down. Attack damage is down. Base attack speed is up. Base attack speed growth is up. Kallista, I've seen enough high elo ADCs commenting that Kallista's still broken, and I don't know enough about ADC to comment outside of that. I just know that based off of dominance, Kallista's one of those champions that have always been a problem to balance. Either she's useless or broken, and she's kind of hinging on the broken territory, and she has been for a while in the past few patches. So I totally understand. The mana refund is down. Making her lane phase a little bit weaker. Kallista gains 5/10 bonus attack damage when near Oathsworn. Got it. Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw getting a slight buff. Ooh. Can't let Kog'Maw not be viable. Not really. I don't know. Yeah. My comments of this are basically, this is one of those champions that you're walking a very thin line whenever you buff this type of champion. It's a very, very thin line. The numbers are very, very dangerous in terms of, like, if he's too strong, he just kind of right clicks everybody and that's it. Because immobility and high damage is always has that kind of issue. Q damage reverted to pre-work paradigm. Base attack damage scaling increase. R detection range increased. Or decreased. We liked much of the Rengar update, but the old Q paradigm is one of Rengar players enjoyed more, and opponents don't really notice that much. We want to keep and amplify the gains of the new ultimate while we're at it. We're taking a pass at Rengar's stat profile to help Trinity Force be a more reasonable purchase. Interesting. Base attack damage is down. Attack speed damage growth is up. Base attack speed is up. Attack speed growth is down. Interesting. Unseen Predator, flat attack damage. Bonus attack damage is up late game after the 3rd rank. Or no. I don't know how this passive works. I guess that's after each stack. After each Bone Tooth stack. Got it. Once Rengar's gained Bone Tooth necklace stacks from all 3 enemy champions on Twisted Tree Line, the per target lockout now resets so he can get his 4th and 5th stacks. Can't get a 6th though, okay. Fuck you, Twisted Tree Line. Rengar has a voice response to gaining a Bone Tooth necklace stack and generating ferocity. Amazing. Updated Q. This is pretty much a revert to Rengar's old Q functionality. Q is now an attack reset plus an attack speed buff for the next 2 attacks. Okay. Battle Roar cooldown is down. Rengar is definitely getting some love here. Overall, I think you're going to see Rengar played a lot more after these changes. Rengar mains rejoice. I don't know how good he's going to be, but my read is that overall this seems like a positive. This seems like a positive for his consistency. Not gonna lie, I could see him be playing a lot more and winning a lot more. Shyvana, attack damage growth is down. Twin Bite is a lot lower. Holy shit. Shyvana is one of the strongest users. Press the attack with the power increase PTA is getting, and the half dragon needs to lose some power. Okay, makes sense. I'll look at the PTA changes. Swain. Swain gets a nice little buff. He's been weak. Buffing his, reducing his mana cost on his W, and then base heal per target per second. Cooldown and soul fragments are fully refunded if Swain dies during the channel time of demonic ascension. Ultimate hap now properly reduces. Health threshold to reactivate 125. Area of effect starts slightly more in the direction of Swain's movement at high movement speeds. Yeah, I can vibe with this. Swain is not doing too hot as a new champion, as a new release, and I don't view him as a champion that this buff is gonna push crazy to crazy levels right now. I think he's a lot more healthy to me than old Swain by a mile, so I don't mind this. Okay, Talon. Base armor decrease, base magic resistance increase. Talon sucking dick. And they're buffing him. That's a long story short. Yeah. Tristana, our cooldown increased. Tristana's ability appeal for herself is too consistently available. Agree. She needs more nerfs than this. She's still broken. And she's like the safest, probably the strongest ADC, most reliable ADC, best at taking towers. Fuck Tristana, nerf her again. Twitch. Twitch is a bullshit champion who also, in my opinion, has the same types of bullshit consistency in solo queue that I want to see gutted. I want the base damage of Twitch to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as opposed to 20, 25, 30, 40 or whatever the fuck. Fuck this champion. What did they do? They reduced base power in preparation for press the attack. Still not that significant of a nerf. Fuck Twitch too. Fuck both of these champions. I hate them. I hate both of them in solo queue so much. Volibear. Q movement speed increase. W now halves his cooldown when used on minions. E now knocks enemies back struck and deals extra damage to dashing or airborne targets. Kind of cool. Bonus movement speed is up for Q. Rolling Thunder. Bonus movement speed towards champions is up, especially late game. When Volibear changes direction from towards champions to any other direction, his bonus movement speed now decays over 1 second rather than falling off immediately. Ooh, cool. He can dodge more skill shots. W Frenzy, Hungry Bear. Frenzy's cooldown is halved if it is used on a minion in addition to monsters as previously. E, Majestic Roar, slightly knocks back enemies. Enemies who are dashing or airborne are dealt additional magic damage. Summon Rift Herald will now be terrified properly. Interesting. This is, I mean, if I may, I think Volibear is probably in Aatrox territory in terms of, like, one of the weakest champions for the past... God, for like the past like 3 years. So a lot of changes, welcome changes. I don't mind seeing this guy get some love finally. All the poor Volibears that can't play this guy because he's just that weak. It's pretty cool. You can dodge skill shots now. You're doing more damage when you flip people at good times. Seems good. Seems good, man. Xin Zhao, passive damage decrease. W base cast time decrease. Since that was one of the strongest users, press the attack with the power PTA is getting everyone favorite. I don't know how to pronounce that word. Seneschal needs to lose some base power as a result. Also, cleaning up some weirdness on short-range casts of E, Audacious Charge, and making W Wind become lightning more fluid. Passive, Determination. Passive damage is now a bit lower. The base cast time on the W is a little bit lower. Spear Thrust now originates from Zen's original position at the end of the cast. Cool. E, short range dashes will now correctly move Zen Zhao forward to the target. I mean, that's kind of explained by Riot there. Zed. Over time, supports marksmen have picked up better tools to prevent burst deaths. Redemption, Knight's Vow. This makes Zed players feel worse about trying to make plays, knowing that if they fail, they'll be without a key cooldown for so long. Well, I mean, I disagree with their line of logic here. I more feel like the Zed in general late game is like 10 times harder to execute than most of the AP mages. And as the game wears on, I think it makes more sense to give the guy some love because he's so hard to pull off, like ultra late, and then like beyond. Like, you can't play this fucking guy after lane phase. Like, if you don't snowball lane phase and put the game away, you feel so shitty as Zed. So I think it's fine. Honestly, I think it's okay. And it's not that significant of a buff to, like, max rank, which is where he tends to fall off the hardest. So, Zoe. A lot of changes. Q damage down. Minions no longer drop teleport. E no longer refunds cooldown if it sleeps a champion. Cleansing Drowsy now prevents sleep. Yeah, I mean, all this shit is just Riot justifying their nerf. Let's face it, Zoe is probably one of the worst. This is why and one little side note is this is why I don't like seeing new champions right now. Is because Riot is actually doing in my opinion, I think this has been one of the worst times for balance for champions that I've seen in this game in a couple of patches, and it's mainly because like this is old and fucking news. Like, we already knew what AP Nidalee did and why they got rid of it and what people bitched and moaned and complained about. And here they release Zoe. And in the process of not even changing Zoe forever, they go and release another champion. So I'm just sitting here thinking, like, slow down with the champ releases, polish up the shit that you have before you make this game absolute Call of Duty clusterfuck. But anyways, I digress. Base stats, health is up, base attack damage is up. Passive, more sparkles. Overall, the damage is up more in the mid game and about the same late game. AP ability power ratio is a little bit higher. Paddle Star base damage is down. AP scaling is down. Paddle Star is not Paddle Star. Paddle Star no longer applies more sparkles damage to enemies past the first hit. Spell Thief minions can no longer drop teleport. Movement speed bonus is up. Ability power is up on the Spell Thief. Sleepy Bubble, removing Drowsy now prevents the affected targets from falling asleep. So Cleanse. Sleepy Bubble cooldown no longer reduced. I mean, this all makes sense to me. This champion is not fun to play against. It is literally only fun for the person playing him. And this is coming from a guy that played a lot of AP Nidalee. I just find it funny. AP Nidalee had no CC. I still can't get over that. AP Nidalee had no CC. Just ran around and threw spears and was super squishy all game. And here you have this shit that you, like, almost can never catch. And can one-shot you harder than AP Nidalee used to. It's just ridiculous to me. Just absolutely ridiculous that this champion even... We're even having this discussion about this champion. Yeah, cleansing the Zoe lane's a must. I agree. Extra damage to minions. We were worried the removal of old runes and masteries make last hitting too hard, so we gave all champion attacks bonus 5 damage against lane minions over time. It's become clear this wasn't necessary, so we're reverting that change. Basic attacks no longer deal bonus 5 bonus damage to lane minions. Rip your last hitting, noobs. Rip my machete Tryndamere strat. How am I gonna last hit the creeps? It's already hard. Ancient Coin line. Ancient Coin's upgrades aren't doing well as other gold income items. In particular, they just don't offer much during the lane phase. Before, their quest reward was pulling some of that weight, but with that gone, it needs something to make it worthwhile early on. By the way, there's currently a bug where the gold gain from Ancient Coin pickups is not being reflected. Movement speed up, nomads, movement speed, okay. Cool. Makes sense, yeah. Coin is pretty weak right now. Tank support's crowding out other options in pro play. Relic Shield is a big part of that. Even a few solo laners picking it up. As a result, we're pulling back on some of the base tankiness. Cool. Cool. Yeah. Relic Shield nerf makes sense to me. Remove Tracker's Knife. This patch is huge! Tracker's Knife is almost mandatory in professional play, giving professional teams enough vision to avoid most early game danger. Bringing in a line would kill it in most games, so for now we're simply removing it. Fuck Tracker's Knife, said Riot. Fuck that knife. Wit's End. Cost decrease. On hit damage increase. Magic resist. Drain increase, but magic resist per stack halved on ranged champions. Wit's End is consistently strong on ranged champions in melee, and that strength prevents us from making it viable item on basic attacking bruisers who may otherwise picking up. Splitting those two should help with balancing this item. Interesting. I don't know who the fuck's gonna use it in what circumstances, but interesting. Ranged champions steal half the MR, but also stack up to the same max. Cool. Yeah, that's true. Lee Sin doesn't have Tracker's Knife. He can't ward hop as often. They better give him a... I don't know. They better give him some in-kit wards or some shit. Damn. Precision. Specking Precision along Sorcery Domination grants you some stats from your primary tree. Precision Domination. 9 attack speed, 9 ability power, 5 attack damage. Domination Precision. 9 attack speed, 9 ability power. Yada yada. Got it. Keystone. Press the attack. Isn't pulling its weight on melee bruisers. We've been pretty hesitant to buff it thanks to laning strength and duo lanes, where the damage amp has 2 champions worth of damage to apply to. We're pulling back on the amp at early levels so that we can put more raw damage into the Keystone. So damage amp by champion level, the damage is up on press the attack. Interesting. So you get the damage. So if you're leading in XP, then you get the damage amp. Cool. Cool. All right. Significant buff to press the attack and split pushing. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a big buff. Yeah. Interesting. The new bone plating rune has been added to resolve. Several runes moved to different rows. The resistance row is currently pretty unsatisfying and looking to creating more dynamic ways to provide its users with durability. This process is not complete, but this is our first stab at it. Unflinching removed. Oh, okay. New bone plating. After taking damage from an enemy champion, their next 3 spells or attacks against you deal 20 to 50 less damage at levels 1 through 18. Duration 5 seconds. Cooldown is 45 seconds. Demolish, unchanged, unchanged. There's now 3 runes in this row for now. Second Wind has been moved here from the Vitality row. And then Unflinching. Unflinching has been moved from the Strength row. Second Wind has been moved. Yeah, I got it. Alrighty. So basically the only thing they really added here was the bone plating, which is targeting mostly spellcasters by the look of it. Nice meme. No, I think it's cool. I think it's gonna make the tanks more tanky though, which could annoy some people because I can totally see Aftershock plus this. Oh yeah, this is actually kind of dumb. The more I think about this, Aftershock plus this is gonna be pretty stupid. But, oh, I see. Yeah, you can't get the armor plus the second. Got it. So the bad matchups. Yeah, so basically now, instead of second wind, you're taking bone plating and then the armor if you want it.
Any chance of doing an updated split pushing tier list?
Not at this time, no, but thank you very much. Inspiration. Commencing stopwatch transforms to stopwatch later in the game. New rune time warp tonic. Okay, I already thought about this. Perfect timing is warping aggression, so we're pushing it to later in the game. Stopwatch is now at 10 minutes, opening up more level 6 plays. Time Warp Tonic, your potions, elixirs, and biscuits last 20 longer. So you're also losing your increased bonus, your potion duration. So all those spellbook users are going to take a nerf to their sustain as well. So this is a meta shift for sure. I play a lot of TF, and this definitely hurts him a little bit. It makes it a lot harder for him to get away with laning and just banking on having the stopwatch. But I still think he's going to be a pretty strong champion. Now you just take time warp tonic in place of celestial, or in place of the CDR rune, the 5% CDR rune. But a lot of your sustain is getting nerfed off of your potions, like your corrupting pots and your refillable pots and all that shit. Jungle, blast cone. Outer blast cones spawn later in the game. The river accessing blast cones is putting too much pressure on laners to not only win lane, but also control the early blast cone. The gameplay is cool, but having it show up early is a bit much. Yep, agree. Good change. Agree. Very fucking annoying. Warding for a jungle gank and then having a motherfucker blast cone over the wall is AIDS. Good change. Make top laner's life a little bit less dependent on which jungler decided to, you know, avoid my vision by hitting a blast cone. Pretty good. I agree with it. Ancient Krugs no longer take reduced damage from range basic attacks. Okay. Got it. What else? Hand of Baron. Late game Baron buff should be hugely impactful. Let's see. Alliance team that takes them to supposedly successfully siege through inhibitor turrets. It doesn't look like it's doing its job well enough, so we're bumping up the damage it provides as the game goes later, especially ability power boosting its minion buff. Fix the buff. Wait, so attack damage, ability power, 24 attack damage, 40 ability power, minion buffs. Empowered caster minions now take 50 less damage from champions. Fix it. Fix the bug where bonus attack, Hand of Barons plus 50 and Banner of Commands plus 100 wasn't affecting empowered siege minion attacks against structures. This is twice as impactful as it sounds, since empowered siege minions deal double damage to turrets. Okay, so Baron's gonna be a lot more impactful. Hey, my Tryndamere with Smite's gonna be OP. I'm gonna get Baron all day now. GG, boys. Noobs control objectives. Yeah, Baron will shit on your tower now. Well, maybe that'll make people play for fucking objectives in solo queue. You know what? I'm ready. I'm ready for some Mario Party Barons. Yeah, I better stop missing Smite. Yeah, exactly. Gotta hit it. Elder Dragon respawn time decreased. Elder Dragon buff duration increased for buffs beyond the first. Burn damage increased to Elder Dragon buffs beyond the first. Late game Elder Dragon should feel impactful, allowing a team which takes them to successfully siege through inhibited turrets. Doesn't look like it's doing its job well enough to be buffing all Elder Dragons beyond the first. Respawn is down to 8 minutes. New Elder buffs beyond the first. Stronger effects. First buff is unchanged. We're listing the values below. Burn damage and a fuckload for the next ones. Yikes. Talk about making the LCS games go shorter. Holy fuck. Your honor, no one cares. A scoreboard. Yeah, that layout sucked. Thanks for reverting it. Bug fixes, yada yada. Don't care about skins, and we are done. If you like this and you want to see more patch rundowns, and I'm gonna go in and take some Barons and shit on people in solo queue when this patch goes live. But if you like this, you want to see more patch rundowns, if they're on YouTube, like, subscribe, you'll get more of them. All right. Thanks for watching. It's Neace, no bullshit gaming. I'm out. Peace. Crackers. Thank you.